What a team. 3 wins on the spin in all competitions. Comeback Kings, West Ham United 2, Burnley 1 at Turf Moor on the weekend. 85 minutes gone. West Ham still 1-0 down, lulling the Clarets into a false sense of security. And then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Smash and grab capped off by Thomas Soucek after Danny O'Shea's own goal. Everyone, let's just give it to Divin Mubama, shall we? For Christ's sake, all of those people at the Premier League dubious goals panel, what a load of killjoys they really are. But for West Ham United, that is 6 points from a possible 6 in the Premier League, bounced back from the international break as if we had never been away. And one man who I'm sure today is going to bounce back like he's never been away, is James Jones, my mate and co-host. Jonesy, great to see you once again to chat all things West Ham. 3 shots on target at Turf Moor, the rock bottom team in the Premier League, and somehow we managed to make it difficult. We had Joe on from the Turfcast in the build-up saying there's no way that we're going to beat you. We're absolutely terrible at football. West Ham are definitely going to walk away with the 3 points, but in so West Ham fashion, we managed to make it difficult. But we did win. It is 3 points away from home. Reason to be positive, I'm sure, and I'm sure you agree. Yes or no?
I've been racking my brains ever since the final whistle went on Saturday to really know how I feel about this one. Because before, even the equaliser, I was kind of like, oh, well, okay. Well, at least we've not lost this game.
To the world, the Premier League's worst team, yeah.
Yeah. And then the winner goes in and you're like, well, blimey, I didn't see that one coming. Happy days. We'll take the 3 points. And then I'm watching the post-match reaction from the players and David Moyes, and again, it just shows the spirit in the squad. We never give up. We always fight to the end. And I'm like, well, that's all very well and good, Dave, but Christ, like, we're talking about a team that's bottom of the league, and I've got the second worst defence in the
world.
In the world. Second, literally the worst is Sheffield United, and then it's Burnley. So you've got, like, come on. I mean, why are we struggling to score goals? Well, one reason is he's started Danny Ings, and head in hands when that starting lineup was announced.
Yeah,
so you just know we're going to offer absolutely nothing in the final third, which I bang on about it every single week, which is a problem for us. Yep. So we make it even more a problem when we put the most least effective striker in the world up against the second worst defence in the world. You know it's going to be a long afternoon in Turf Moor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I'm buzzing that we've managed to turn it around in the final 5 minutes and win the game. Obviously, I'm buzzing for the 3 points, but we should not be making games like that difficult to win. I don't care whether we've got Danny Ings, whether we've managed to tempt Tony Cottee out of retirement and put him up front. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you should be doing better in front of goal against a team like Burnley, and that's no disrespect to Burnley, but they said it.
Well, once again, mate, that is disrespectful.
Said it on Turfcast. Said it. They said it, didn't they? They went, we are terrible. You should run away with the 3 points. Even they know that it shouldn't have been that difficult for us. They played well, Burnley. I think they were very unlucky not to have that first penalty shout awarded.
Yeah.
But then the penalty that was awarded, I think, was a little bit unlucky from Kudus. He kind of accidentally stepped into his ankle. But yeah, we've made it very difficult for ourselves. We've managed to come away with all 3 points undeservedly. But I'm absolutely not buying it's because of the team spirit. And it's because we never give up is the reason why we came away with 3 points. We came away with 3 points because we decided to turn it on the last 5 minutes. I've seen one fan go, that's why Kudus is brilliant, because he decided to take the game by the scruff of the neck and go, well, I'll win this on my own then. it's like, well, he was at fault for he was unlucky, he was at fault for the penalty, and he was pretty much missing for 85 minutes of the game. Like, it's not all down to Kudus. Like, the fact is, we weren't very good, and we still managed to win a game of football, which some will say, oh, it's a sign of a good team. Nah, not having that. But I'll take the 3 points all the same. Ninth in the league, three wins in a row, 4 wins out of our last 5. We're back on the up, mate. We're gonna finish in the top 4 all of a sudden. Let's stay positive.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Yeah, I mean, we are still 9th, which is a little bit of an irritation. But sorry, not an irritation at all. I mean, it's like when you win away 3 points, you see where we've moved in the table. It's like, oh, absolutely nowhere. But look, I think once again, we're talking all season about being ahead of the curve or whatever. And look, we know we started the last week's podcast really passionately with a rant about the striker situation. Jarrod Bowen and Michail Antonio not even in the squad. So their injury is obviously a little bit worse. Certainly Jarrod Bowen's than we were led to believe. We thought he might at least be in the squad, but he was nowhere near it. Divin Mubama comes on the end. Look, we'll go into the more of the details shortly when we look back at the game in more detail. We had the international break though, James. How are you? What have you been up to? Have you got any mundane life stories to update me and or the listeners with in the week and a half, 2 weeks or so since we last did a proper We Are West Ham podcast?
Life updates. No.
You're still a gym bro? I'm trying to think of what we
still a gym bro. Yeah, I'll be going after we record for a little bit.
I thought you hang on. Well, I thought you woke up at one of those hustle life. Woke up at 3 a.m. and get down the gym and get it done. What's all this going at 1:45, 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
No, I've just switched up my my schedule a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I do intend to go back to the early mornings, but I've switched out just of things to do in the mornings now. But yeah, I'm still doing that. Harrison has developed a love for Wetherspoons, which is slightly odd, but yeah. Just like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do today, mate? Can we go to Spoons, Daddy?
How old is he?
He's 4 in about less than 2 weeks. Start
was he just like that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. He said, look, I can't get a pint of Carlsberg for less than £3 anywhere, Dad. So we're going to Spoons again. Is that what it is?
Yeah, like he's just developed a love for Wetherspoons. And that's because the childminder took him there for lunch once. They were out in town and they popped in there for lunch. Had prior permission from us. She didn't just decide to take him into the Spoons.
You don't just let an alcoholic look after your child.
No, but yeah, and ever since then he absolutely loves it. And so we took him there the other night for Friday night for dinner.
Yeah. What is it about the Wetherspoons? For anyone who's perhaps abroad, like what the hell are you talking about? Wetherspoons is a budget chain of pubs in the UK where, the clientele can sometimes be questionable. Sticky carpets are usually a given, but you can normally have 4 pints and a full meal for about £15. So it's there's some bargains to be had. The beer might not always be the highest quality, but sort of by the by. But so what is it about the Spoons that you're so sort of enamored with, Jonesy?
Well, Lucy and I were trying to work this one out because I couldn't really understand it because it's the first time we've gone there with him.
Right.
And we sat down at the table and he's got like things to colour in and stuff, and like he's doing that, but there was nothing really that stood out and just gone, oh, that's why he likes it. Like that's there was nothing really that stood out.
Like a play area, something like that.
No, none of that. I mean, it's a posh Wetherspoons. I mean, we are in Bury St Edmunds after all.
A posh one. I mean, those two words don't typically go together.
It's in a very fancy building with pillars out the front, and you walk in.
Blimey.
It's upstairs, and you walk in, and you've got stairs that go either side, sort of like
both directions. Nice,
both directions. And you go upstairs, and it's this huge room upstairs with a view over Bury, and it's all very glamorous as Wetherspoons go. That it's quite glamorous, but
like the flagship Wetherspoons.
Yeah, it's
which is sort of like saying, it's like the flagship Perfect Fried Chicken store or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's still sort of levels of this thing, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah. It's nice in there. It's nice. Which I never thought I'd ever hear myself say, but for some reason, my 4-year-old son absolutely loves it in there, and he keeps asking to go. So I'm not going to say no.
What's his tipple? Is he a Carlsberg man or sort of a gin and tonic sort of thing?
He's neither. He likes the blackcurrant smoothies they've got behind the bar at the moment. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So
no, they still do fruit shoots? I thought we might do fruit.
They do. He does love a fruit shoot, but they don't do fruit shoots at the Wetherspoons.
Fair enough.
So yeah. But other than that, mate, nothing to report.
No. People screaming at the podcast, no doubt, or at their phones or wherever they listen, probably wondering, the change in your morning routine from the early morning riser to the gym in the afternoon. Is that from a particular self-help book that's told you that one, the latest one?
No, none of that. I've decided to focus a little bit more on my sleep. Because I'm not getting a great deal of sleep. Not an optimal amount of sleep. So I'm working on giving myself an extra hour or so in the morning. But then by the time I wake up, then it's school. It's like nursery run and getting everyone ready and stuff like that. So I've decided, as I'm still unemployed, I have a little bit more time in the day to do some bits and then get to the gym in the afternoon when it's a little bit quieter as well. Which is a bit nicer to get workout done. So,
what time are you typically going to bed?
Around about between 10 and 11, probably.
Yeah.
But then what I was doing 10 and 11, and then getting up at 4, 5 o'clock. So I'm really only getting 5 or 6 hours sleep a night, which after a while adds up, and you've got a lot of sleep debt there that you've got to claw back. So I'm focusing on getting...
What a phrase, sleep debt.
So I'm optimizing. I'm trying to optimize my health as best as possible, which is kind of alongside the whole gym bro thing. So
of course. So that's part of it, surely.
Working on my nutrition, my general fitness, my sleep. It'll all go to pot again once I'm back into work, and it'll go to pot again.
You get a job again. Yeah.
Well, I'm working on it while I can. Why not?
Yeah. Right, Jonesy, you've covered a little bit off already. The 2 penalties. I don't know where you want to start, really. It's one of those things where, look, a game of football is 90 minutes plus stoppage time at the end of each half, right? Each minute is as valuable, and that's a bit of a cliche, each minute as valuable as the other. Each goal, each point in a season is just as valuable as the other. Obviously, you want to beat Tottenham a bit more, and you like to beat the big teams, but ultimately, the points total you get at the end of the season determines whether it was a good season or not on the whole. Burnley, bottom of the league. By all accounts, listen to a few of some of the reaction coming out of Burnley and the Turfcast. Joe, we listened to come on last week, was that they probably put in their best performance of a season. I think Vincent Kompany was trying to take the positives out of it afterwards. Obviously disappointed for them that they sort of collapsed, if you like, late on. Where do you want to start? It's up to you, really, whether you want to go semantics, lineup, performance generally. What was your main takeaway from the game?
Well, I think the lineup is the big one, and obviously there's a big explanation mark over Danny Ings' name. We spoke a lot last week about.
We did a lot, yeah.
Does he start? Does Mubama get a go? Danny Ings has started, which I think we all kind of half expected anyway, despite hoping that he might choose Mubama instead. He was in the starting 11, offered absolutely nothing. I didn't watch the game, but I was flicking through Twitter and looking to see what people were saying. There's so many fans going, Ings is non-existent. He's not doing anything. He's not running behind. He's just not offering us anything at all up front. And then Mubama comes on. Whether he's unlucky or not to have been given the goal or not is like almost.
He just said, "I didn't touch it." He wasn't even claiming it afterwards,
the fact is that he's got himself in that position. And he's forced O'Shea into not being able to clear it properly and put it in his own net. It's a run that Danny Ings isn't making. Danny Ings makes that run 5 years ago, but for some reason he's not making that run now. Mubama, hungry, wants to prove himself, makes that run and forces a goal. Yeah. David Moyes said after the game that he was really impressed with the energy that Mubama gave us when he came off the bench. You got half an hour, I think it was 25 minutes.
He was going to look good compared to Danny Ings, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like he's giving. When Moyes is coming out, I mean, I didn't watch it, but he's going. When he was asked about Mubama, he's gone, yeah, Danny Ings had a good game as well, and it was just like, forget Danny Ings. Like this is why I don't really buy the whole Danny Ings wasn't a David Moyes signing, because if he wasn't a David Moyes signing, David Moyes wouldn't be saying those things. But he said that Mubama, he was impressed with Mubama's performance, and that should be now the final nail in the coffin for Ings moving forward. For as long as Antonio's injured, which he did say before in his pre-match presser was that he's probably only going to be 2 or 3 weeks now. It should be Mubama in the starting 11 if he's going to be giving that sort of energy up front and making those runs in behind and things like that. So that's for me the only problem with the lineup was that. Because other than that, it was as expected. I think it was an 11 that we expected to see. But yeah, I think I'm pleased for Mubama that it wasn't an own goal, but he's done enough there in that 25-30 minutes to prove that he warrants a start, and not just in Europe against Bacca Pola, which he will do. I'm pretty sure he will start, but against Palace at the weekend, he's got to start.
No, I don't really know where to go with this, mate, because I'm wary of just the podcast being the same as it was last week.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I think we've made the statements. I still stand by it now that I'm one of the most passionate Moyes advocates you will find among West Ham fans. And I'm still stick by the fact that while he's perceived to be, we don't actually know whether he is or not from the board, or whether he even wants to stay. But while he's in somewhat of a precarious situation, it would somehow, I feel silly saying that, but while he's got just over 6 months left on his deal, 7 months left on his deal, and it just seems an odd hill to die on. Like, I often think there's so much more nuance than loads of the Moyes out brigade ever seem to appreciate with the situation at West Ham. But with this one, it's impossible to defend, isn't it? It's one of them, right? As I'm speaking and hearing you talk just now, I was like, right, I wonder if there's obviously something going on behind the scenes, right? I'm not privy to any information, unfortunately, but you never know, do you, right? It could be a personal issue. There's with Danny Ings, there's lots of things that can impact a player's ability on the pitch. It could be a personal issue. It could be, which I would, if I had to, I am just sort of surmising or guessing, is that, there could be, it's a political thing within, whether it's between the manager and the board or the player, his agent. There's something more going on there, clearly, than what's best for West Ham United team-wise, right? Now, while we aren't privy to that information, which is a club choice to, it's easy to go, if it then comes out later that something's going on with Danny Ings, it's easy to go, everyone's slagging him off, well out of order, you should think. It's like, well, no, while the club are, while we're not privy to any information like that, all we are left with is what we see from him on the pitch. And it's so bad as to almost be insulting. Well, I think it is, mate. That Burnley, that is a minging trip. I've done it a few times. I love the stadium. I love the fans. I love the club. And I love them being part of the Premier League. But it's a minging old trip from London or Essex or, the South, wherever those, 3,000, 2,500 West Ham fans. It's a few quid. It's freezing cold. I was the same when I went out to Greece. I ended up having a lovely time in Athens, which took the sting out of it a bit. But it's a lot of money and a lot of effort and time. And I honestly, the Antonio thing, it's like, all right, well, he's sort of the best choice we've got, bar Bowen. And yeah, there's some, I can sort of see why there's some persistence with him. But I think the Danny Ings thing is just like, well, like the Mubama thing, even if it is like trying to sort of press gang him into signing a new deal or at the rate or the contract that West Ham want him to sign, that particular issue can't be bigger and more important than West Ham's season. And this period could genuinely be like make or break, couldn't it? Come the end of the year, if Michail Antonio and Bowen are out for 3 or 4 more weeks, it could be the difference between, over a space of, say, 5 or 6 games in all competitions, which could be 4 Prem games, that could be the difference of sort of 10 points, 8 to 10 points over the end of the season. And I just think if it's the difference, I don't know, but if it is the difference between, a year or 2 here or there in Mubama's contract and 20 odd grand a week, 10, 20 grand a week, if you compare that to what not playing him or what persisting with Danny Ings could mean for our final league position and where we qualify for and all that, it just seems so short-sighted and narrow-minded. He can't be that bad, can he, Mubama? He can't be that bad. He's clearly chomping at the bit. His post-match interview was like, I'm really pleased to get minutes, show the manager what I can do. He kept saying that. Whatever issues going on with him, it can't be more important than giving him a chance to either sink or swim. Because then if he's rubbish and he's not up to it, then Moyes, West Ham and anyone can go, look, see, he's not worth that. This is what we want to pay him. And all the fans then will go, yeah, you know what, actually, he didn't quite cut it when he got his chance. Or it's the other way, and he rises to the occasion, and you go, all right, fair enough. I can't see any way why starting Danny Ings is the most sensible thing for Moyes to do from any angle.
I think what happened at the weekend at Turf Moor means that we've now, I think that will have underlined the need for a change. For as long as Antonio's injured, it would have underlined the calls from the fan base, and it would have underlined, well, it would have just hammered home to David Moyes that he needs to switch that about. He needs to give Mubama the go from the get-go.
But what's different from last week, mate? Honestly.
Well, this is it. Obviously, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I don't know whether leading into that, he's gone, do you know what? I'll give Ings one more go up front. We're playing against the worst defence in the league. Let's give him another go. See whether he fancies it against his former team. Maybe let's see what we can do. But I mean, the way that the performance panned out and the way that Ings played, and then the way that Mubama played when he came on, that decision should be so easy for Moyes moving forward. For as long as Antonio's sidelined, it should be the easiest decision. Mubama starts. Ings is on the bench, and that's that up until the January window. But now we've been told that there's no money to spend in January, so I think we should expect this to be our striking options for at least the summer. And then we'll see what happens in the summer. But Ings should be at the very bottom of the pecking order when it comes to who plays up front, which is, if I'm honest, pretty embarrassing for Ings, especially when you think of wingers ahead of him now in Jared Bowen. Yeah. You'd like to think so anyway. So I don't see a scenario where starting Danny Ings makes any sense anymore.
No, quite. Listen, mate, I agree. And I think we've done that to death. We did it last week. I'm wary of just it being that every week. But we have won a game, which is positive. What about Jonesy? Super Tommy Soucek this season, 6 goals in 18 games in all competitions. That's 1 goal in every 3 for a holding midfielder who doesn't necessarily start every single game. It's 4 goals in 12 Prem games, 1 assist in there as well, 5 goal contributions. Really is great. And honestly, you can see he's got a new deal. Probably should have given him it a year earlier. Declan Rice has gone, which I think has freed him up a bit again. And I've had the conversation time and time again. He's, whether people, because he's not very, glamorous and he hasn't got nice hair and he's a bit sort of beaten up and all that sort of thing, people just shoehorn him as a defensive, rough and ready type bully midfielder. But he showed it in his early stages at West Ham. Last year he had an off year. He admitted his motivation wasn't quite there. Led to believe that was because he went for a new deal, which he probably deserved. Didn't get it, and then had to play side fiddle to Declan Rice while he tried to play out his Frank Lampard complex in his last year at West Ham. Rice is gone. We've got big money. It's freed up Soucek again. We've called it on this podcast countless times. And he pops up again with another vital goal. I think he scored for Czech Republic in the international break as well. He's got a real spring back in his step again. He's developed some weird little aeroplane type 360-degree spin celebration, which I absolutely love. It's hardly the Ronaldo Sue, is it? But it's Thomas Soucek, I guess. Really good to see. Soufal again has obviously bounced back after last year. Different things going on there, but I think it's brilliant, and he's come and saved the day again.
I'm delighted for him. That's 2 last-minute winners in a row in the league for us.
Yep.
He scored 2 for the Czech Republic as well in the international break.
Twice,
in fantastic form. And I'm delighted for him because last year, like you said, he did admit that it was a bit of an off year for him, but I did feel like he was becoming a bit of a scapegoat amongst the fan base for our poor league form. Not always his fault, given
definitely
the things going on with Declan Rice and obviously the contract stuff going off the pitch. But he's back. It's like we've got the big Tommy Soucek back that we had when he first joined the club. And I love the fact that every time he plays, he looks like he's got about 12 stitches in his forehead. I think he has after the international break. I think he got kicks in the head. I think I saw that on Twitter. Kicked in the head in the national break. More stitches in the face.
Loves
care.
A kick in the head, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he actually mentioned after the Burnley game that he said he couldn't head the ball to score because of the stitches in his head. So he had to fly and volley it in fear of opening up the wound on his head. So fair play, it's a great finish as well.
I love how he's resorting to Trevor Sinclair style scissor kicks rather than
why not?
Because he can't open a gash in his face. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm delighted for him, and you don't get many players like him that are just so what's the word? Honest. You always get an honest performance out of him, and I love his smile, his celebration. I wish he'd been that. If I'm honest, I think it's a little bit weird.
I love it.
But
the cringier, the better.
It is cringy. Do you know what it is? I think it's cringing him. You know when Michail Antonio went on that little run of doing weird celebrations, and he didn't know what he was going to do. I think it's cringier than that. But if it means him scoring every week and we have to see it every week, I'll take it. I'll watch it. Watch it as much as possible. But I'm pleased for him, and he's really proving that he definitely has a place in this West Ham team, because there were question marks this time last year. And fantastic from him.
Yeah, quite, mate. Can you remember, obviously Mohamed Kudus got the assist, which is excellent stuff from him. Can you remember who put in the ball for the Danny O'Shea own goal?
Kudus.
It was Kudus, yeah. So
Kudus
he hasn't actually been awarded the assist, I don't think.
No, you don't get given the assist if it's an own goal. Don't get it.
Yeah, that does seem very, very harsh indeed. But overall, mate, look, it's one of those. I think you get 3 points away from home in the Premier League. It's great. I just think it's Dara O'Shea, by the way. Sorry, I've been calling him Danny O'Shea this entire podcast, but it's Dara O'Shea. I just think it's easy to. You can find positives or negatives in that, right? But I think it's West Ham. It's a win away from home, and those in the Premier League aren't easy to come by, as we know. And I think that's again, it's against a team on the bottom. You have to win probably 5 or 6 away games a season if you want to be in the European places. Though that is a team that we should be beating. So you're sort of on curve still, as I've been saying a lot of the time this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, it took us. I saw someone put something on Twitter earlier. It was, I think we've got 20 points on the board now. It took us 24 games to hit 20 points last season. We've done it in 13 games this season, so we're tracking nicely. And you're right, it is a good away win. You take the away wins all day long. But I don't want to hear after a game like that where we've got away with one massively there. Like, let's not beat around the bush. We've got away with it. I don't want to hear after the game all this. Oh, it's the team spirit. We never give up. This, this like
there's an element of that, isn't there?
Just be honest. Just be honest. It was a really bad performance for 86 minutes, and we've managed to score. We managed to fumble in an own goal and score a 96-minute winner. Like, let's just be honest about it. We didn't deserve to win the game. We probably maybe have done enough to nick a point, but other than that, Burnley quite rightly will feel very, very hard done by. And we need to be honest about that and see it for what it is and accept it for what it is. But yeah, it's an away win. We'll take the 3 points all day long. If we win every game between now and the end of the season just like that, then fine. Yeah. But let's just take it for what it is. We got away with one. We got away with it.
Yeah.
Let's not beat
them. I think there is an element of course, there is an element of, team spirit, but like, you have to keep going until the end. We have done that. And look, how many times we said before that West Ham under David Moyes, when we go behind, you don't just give up like you used to in the past.
Yeah.
And even the Nottingham Forest game, I was confident throughout the whole of that game. And, it turned out the way it did, perhaps less confident during the game at the weekend. But you look at that team, mate, that is a really impressive team. The only thing I will say, which is sort of a little bit concerning, probably will catch up with us at some point. But will we ever keep a clean sheet ever again? Do you think?
It's just worrying, isn't it?
Like, I know we sort of just keep managing to win games, but Burnley's goal difference was like minus 21 or something going into the game, I think. And it's just like we must be. You look at that defence, and Emerson is brilliant. I think he's great. I think Areola's, everyone rates him as a goalkeeper, and proved to be a good decision to get rid of him and bomb out Fabianski. Soufal, great, like pretty defensively sound. Zuma and Aguerd, generally good players, and you sort of think you're like, oh, well, that looks like the strongest back five, including the goalie that we've had for a long time. Like, any danger of actually keeping the ball out of the net, lads? Do you feel there's a weak link there, or what do you put it down to?
Well, I think in this case, obviously it's a penalty. So, and without the penalty, we do keep a clean sheet. But yeah, it's difficult to put a finger on where the weak link is, because you're right. It's a strong back five, including Areola. I think Areola's been brilliant. He's pulled us some class saves throughout the season so far.
Never going to save a pen, though, is he?
Well, he did save one against Chelsea. I'll give him that. Fair play. But yeah, like, I don't know. Some people might be looking. I think Zuma's lack of pace concerns me a little bit. I think Zuma defensively is good, particularly aerially, but his lack of pace does worry me a little bit. Obviously, Aguerd's got the pace, but I'm not sure. Zuma's running style as well is weird, isn't it? He sort of almost looks like he's hobbling. But Emerson, for me, one of the best value signings we've had since Moyes.
Absolutely mustard,
unbelievable signing. Soufal, you know what you're going to get. But yeah, other than that, like, I don't really know. It's difficult to put your finger on it. I think it's just there've been games where we've been a little bit unlucky. But one clean sheet in the Premier League so far this season is a cause for concern, and you would like to think that Moyes is looking at that to hopefully try and improve it. But you just don't know where that next clean sheet's going to come, if I'm honest.
No, quite, mate. I quite agree with you. Right, Jonesy, I think that's about it. Have you got anything else to add on the Burnley game before we move on?
No, not really. Other than let's just forget it happened. Obviously, it was a win.
We won. We won.
Yeah, we won. But I don't know. There's a lot of underwhelming features part of that win.
Yeah, no.
So we move on. Well, just before that though, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of the Moyes out brigade, even though we've won, going, football's rubbish. Timing went. That's a disgrace. I've seen one. So I think he's on a YouTube channel, really ripping into the fact that David Moyes and our style of play. He was like, "We're a disgrace." Like, I've not gone that far. I said the performance wasn't great. We got away with it. Let's just take that for granted and move on. But it's almost like the way we won that game has really amplified the Moyes out brigade a little bit more, which I think is just mental. I mean, 9th in the league.
Yeah.
Going to go and win our Europa League group, the third group stage win in 3 years, and we're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. We're one of only 2 teams that are still on for a quadruple this season. Like, come on. Like, let's be positive. Let's be positive. As much as we possibly can. Moyes in is what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's almost ridiculous talking about it every week. I almost just find all we have to, because otherwise it's like fans are like, well, hang on, like you're missing what fans are talking about here. And I don't think it is it? I think we just end up, as is the nature of it sometimes, like almost reacting to things we see on social media without acknowledging the fact that social media amplifies the extreme side of any view, whatever topic it is. You don't, fairly sound, right-minded people don't tweet if they're just like, yeah, it's 50-50, 6 one half dozen the other. No one tweets that, do they? People only take to Twitter if they've got an extreme view on any particular topic. And then as a result, the way these social media platforms are built and the algorithms and stuff, they amplify those views rather than the more sane, sound-minded people in the middle going, yeah, performances could be better, but we've got 3 points. That's good. And we're 9th. And basically what we're trying to do and what we do every week on the podcast, we're fortunate really that sort of like actual podcast listener numbers doesn't rely on sensationalist algorithms. Like, that's why we're not particularly popular on social media platforms, because we don't say anything that sort of outrageous, because you feel like we're sort of, never ever claim to be representing West Ham fans, because everyone is different. But you do I feel, certainly the more people I talk to, and especially when I talk to listeners of the podcast, I feel like we're sort of a bit more of a safe space for like middle ground West Ham fans to go to, where like, they can hear a bit of criticism, but like not having a complete and utter meltdown for social media clout, really. But yeah, Moyes in again. I'm still going to be like, don't know why we even have to talk about it, but of course Moyes in. Exactly what James said. We're 9th. We're going to win our Europa League group. We're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup by beating one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. So yeah, I don't really know what else some people want. Onwards and upwards. Anyway, Jonesy,